Hi, I'm Lindsay Elliott from Lindsay Elliott Coaching, and I'm back with part 3 of a 4-part video series called Unlocking More Time and Ease in Your Life. So the first 2 videos have already been released, and video 1 is where I was looking at how we don't have to manage our emotions or our thoughts. And in video 2, I looked at confidently saying no, so being able to say no and set boundaries. And just to give you a little bit of an introduction to the whole series, so when I had this in mind, it was really about looking at some, not all, of the areas in our lives where we have things on our mental to-do list that we feel that we have to manage or control that maybe we don't have to be doing. Like maybe it's not up to us to manage or control those things. So in this video, we are going to be looking at other people and 2 areas with other people that I see people having a lot on their mental to-do list is worrying about other people and then believing excuse me, that we need to either fix or innocently control other people. So I'm going to look at those 2 aspects of other people in terms of it being, of those 2 things definitely being things that we can take off of our mental to-do list so that we can create more time, as in we don't have to keep overthinking about these things, and more ease, because these things, when we're worrying about other people or believing that we need to fix other people, that's our responsibility, or because it's better for them or because it makes us feel okay, that's a lot of pressure, that's a lot of mental weight, that's a lot of energy zapping stuff going on. So yeah, so we're going to dive into that. So let's first off look at worry. So it really is quite a prevalent belief within our society over here in the West that worrying about people we love seems to be inherently part and parcel of being in a relationship. So if we care about someone, and I know this isn't universal, but for a lot of people, worrying about those people that we love, be it our children, be it our parents, be it our partner, be it our pets, be it our siblings, that worrying about them is a natural part of being in a relationship, and also a necessary part, that in some way it is showing love, or that in some way it's showing that we care, or it's showing that we are a good person, or that it's just kind of like preventative, sorry, I struggle to say that word, preventative in some way of bad things happening. And for people who worry, and particularly people who worry about other people, this can be really draining. It can take a lot of mental energy, it can also take a lot of time, and truly it's a complete waste of both. Now, if you are a chronic worrier about other people and probably about lots of things, this can be a really hard thing to hear, because sometimes it's also kind of wrapped up in our identity a bit, as in, oh, I'm a worrier, you know, that's just what I do. But we also know somewhere deeper inside of us how futile it is and how much suffering it causes us. And so I just want to point to some of that in this video, in the hope that it helps you to have more freedom and more ease in your relationships. So what we want to see about worry is that it isn't reflective of what is actually happening in life. So if we look at most of worry about other people, not all of it, and I'll talk about that in a minute, but most of it is about the future. So we might worry about how our children might do when they start senior school, or we might worry about how they're going to do in their exams, or we might worry about our partner in their new job, or if they're going to lose their job, or we might worry about our parents as they get older, or we might worry about our best friend and the future with the breast cancer diagnosis. So a lot of the time worry is in the future. It's sometimes about things, well, always about things that might happen. So, but what we can see about that, so when you notice that you're in worry and you've recognised that it's about the future, we can know that that is purely 100% a mental activity, because it's in your imagination. So even though, yes, your child may be starting senior school, they're not there yet. Yes, they may have some exams to sit that they might struggle in, but they're not there yet. Or your parents are aging, but they're not at the point of needing help yet. So once we can see that we are in our imagination, we are not in what is here and now, no amount of worry or overthinking about what might happen is going to help prevent any of those bad things, the things that we've decided that we don't want, from happening. Now, it can also look like worrying or overthinking about it can be really helpful in relationships so that solutions come. And yes, occasionally when we overthink about something, a solution might pop in. But what we also want to see about that is that worrying about these other people, there's also another element to our being or to our nature, which is our wisdom, our intuition, our common sense, that's absolutely activated in the moment that we need it, but it's not activated ahead of time. And we kind of forget that when we're thinking about other people and we're thinking about how, out from a really loving place this comes from, that I really don't want the people that I love to suffer, which I'm going to talk about that a bit later on in the video. So it comes from a really loving place, but what I want to start to point to is that no amount of mental activity about something that isn't happening now is going to change the future. Now, your mind, my mind, would absolutely love me, and it has many times had me believing that thinking about something in the future and worrying about it is in some way helpful or useful. But truly, when you can pull back and see, no amount of thinking about something ahead of time is going to change the outcome, ever. No amount of worry about your child starting senior school is going to change their experience of senior school, because A, it's happening to them, and B, it's in the future. No amount of worry about your child's exams is going to change the outcome of those exams. No amount of worry about a breast cancer diagnosis is going to change the outcome of that breast cancer diagnosis, or whatever diagnosis it is, or the health of aging parents. So what we want to see is we've got life here on this track, just going along. Life just is an energy that's flowing, presenting things to us all the time. And then we have a mental overlay of our minds worrying about the people that we love and thinking that's really helpful along here, and it kind of has a narration about it. Or what if that happens? What if that happens? How will they cope with that? How will we cope with that? How will they feel if that happens? How can I stop that from happening? It's all running alongside it, but it's never ever intersecting. It's never having any kind of power to create an outcome here. It's not like it suddenly intersects and creates a new version of potential reality. Like when we see it like that, we just know that's true. All it is it's giving the mind something to do. It's just a mind wanting to stay in control and you listening to it and having something to do, but it's truly never ever going to change the outcome of it. And even if there is something that is challenging or concerning that is in your present moment reality, so as it is happening now, so there is a child at senior school struggling to make that transition, there is a breast cancer diagnosis happening now, there is an elderly parent who needs more care, any of that going on, even if that is happening now, still no amount of worry and overthinking is ever going to change the outcome of that. It just doesn't have that power, it doesn't have that capacity. And if it looks like, because this is what we kind of unconsciously believe as well, I think, is that in the overthinking and the worry, that it's kind of, that's where solutions come from. But truly, I think every single solution to a problem or challenging situation that any of us have had has always come from our inner knowing, our wisdom, our intuition. Now, it might come through our thinking, it might seem like it comes from our thinking, but I believe it comes from a much deeper place, like a sense of knowing, a sense of, oh, that's just the thing that I need to do. And often the mind will then take ownership for that. Oh look, we thought about that loads and loads and then a solution appeared. But what if that solution would have appeared without all of the worry going on? Because we're trying to remember that no amount of worry is going to change the outcome. It's just not possible. So that is why that is one of the things that we can take off of our to-do list in relationships, is worrying about people. It doesn't mean that you're a kind and loving person. You're a kind and loving person whether you worry about people or not. It doesn't mean that we don't help people that we love if they're in challenging situations. We absolutely do that. It doesn't mean we're being uncaring or unkind. It doesn't mean that we won't sometimes be reflective. How could I help this person? When we're not all caught up in the overthinking and our own feelings about it. And something will occur to us. So it doesn't mean that we're not going to engage in all of that side of the relationship of being supportive and being helpful. It just means we don't have to carry along like a massive heavy bag behind us all of the overload and the weight of worrying about it and worrying about them and worrying about the circumstances. So that's the worry piece of it. So I hope that bit is helpful if you're a worrier. So the other piece of it that I see with people being in relationships is that they innocently believe that it is their job to kind of fix the other person. It's kind of along the same lines as the worry, but it has a bit of a slightly different flavour to it. So I think it's worth pulling it out as a separate piece. So often what is going on when we think that we either need to fix someone's behaviour or fix their experience or help them to give up something unhealthy or to break a habit or to do better in something. So for example, it might be like worrying about someone or thinking that we need to help someone to stop smoking or stop drinking, or it might be or to get healthier in some way, or that we need to fix the fact that they get angry, or we need to fix their anxiety. And it looks like that's definitely kind of, particularly for parents, but also for spouses and siblings, and when you're with your parents, it can really look like it's our responsibility to look after everybody else's feelings and manage everybody else's experience and make sure that everybody else is happy. And part of that is looking over at the person that we love and seeing that needs fixing. How can I help them to fix that? Now, again, this comes from such a place of love and care. I'm definitely not saying give up the love and care piece of it, but what I want to question is that it is your job to fix anything for anybody else. I don't think it's even really our job to fix stuff for ourselves, but that's another topic for another video. So there's a few little points I want to pull out about this. So when someone else is having something challenging, maybe like a mental health issue or an addiction or money issues or other health issues, what often when we think we have to do a lot of the prompting for the fixing and the suggestions for the fixing and have you looked at this and have you tried that, is what we are not taking into account is their own wisdom, is their own common sense and their own resilience. Now I know that it can look like sometimes people lose that, or that teenagers don't have it, or that our kids don't have it, and I'm not saying you give up parenting at all in any way, or being a guide for your kids or for your elderly parents, but what I am saying is that we are not taking into account when we're in that mode that they have their own common sense, they have their own inner wisdom, and they also have their own resilience, that they can manage this challenging situation, that they will come out the other side of it, that there will be ebbs and flows within it, and that because we are always, all of us, safe in whatever feeling we are feeling, that means that we can navigate challenging things, and that we all have that capacity within us because our feelings are coming from our thinking. It's one energy appearing as thought and then appearing as sensation and feeling or emotion. But because that feeling is changing all of the time, and that changes our perspective of our circumstance, there's always the possibility for something new and fresh to flow down the river, ideas to come, and also new experiences of the circumstance to come. So we can trust in the design of every single human being, including ourselves, but that also includes other people who are struggling. So if I struggle about if my son is going through something difficult, it really helps me to kind of pull back and remind myself he's got his own inner wisdom there. Now, I absolutely will give him some suggestions if it feels helpful. I will always listen to him, but what I try not to lose sight of is that he has his own common sense and wisdom, and he's got his own experiences to have that he needs to learn from. So that's the first little piece. Everybody's got inbuilt wisdom and resilience. So I'm just checking my notes. The other piece to look at is, are we trying to fix that other person so that we can feel okay? Now, this is quite a big thing that often occurs, is that our own discomfort with what we perceive as their suffering can be the thing that drives us to want them to fix themselves. So if they are struggling and clearly unhappy because they're addicted to something, or they're having money troubles that they don't seem to be able to get out of, or they're feeling anxious a lot of the time, and if we go into that kind of fix-it mode, it can sometimes stem from, I'm really uncomfortable that this person that I love, like, it's breaking my heart that they are suffering, and I don't want that feeling in me. And again, coming from a place of love, but it's just a really good idea if you're in this kind of fix-it mode and believing you need to help everybody be happy, is just check in with yourself. Is there something inside? Is there a feeling in here that I don't want to feel in me? Because either what it means about me as a parent, what it means about me as a partner, what it means about me as a sibling or a daughter or a son, or just I'm really uncomfortable with feeling this feeling, so I don't want it to be there, so you better fix yourself, and I'm going to help you to do that. So just if you're in a situation with someone at the moment, when you're feeling a bit calm and clear about it, I would really encourage you to just reflect and go a bit quiet and look within and say, is there something I'm wanting to avoid here? So like, I need you to be better so that I'm okay. So just to have a look at that. And then the last little piece of this with thinking we need to fix other people is also to have a look at how our own expectations create suffering. And in fact, it's only really ever our own expectations that are creating suffering. So either our expectations for how someone else's life should go, someone that we love, what kind of experience they should have. Obviously, again, coming from a place of love, we want them to be happy. We want the best for the people that we love. But are we innocently holding expectations about what their life should be like, what they should be feeling, how things should be showing up? And then when there is, discrepancy between how we think their life should be and we want it to be for them and how it's actually showing up, the suffering is totally in our own thinking, coming from our expectations. So I would, again, really encourage you just to see, what expectations am I holding about how this person should show up in their life, what they should be achieving, what they should be feeling, what their behaviours should be like. What are my own thought created, not capital T true, just my perspective, expectations that I'm holding for them? And is that what is causing me suffering? Because so many times when I work around this with my clients on this, we can really clearly see that it's how I'm believing life should be happening. That's what's creating my expectation and my suffering. And I know, I hear you. It's really hard if someone that you love is not having the life that we potentially kind of believe they could be having or they should be having. I understand that from a human mum, parent, wife, daughter perspective, sister perspective. I completely understand that. But the truth of how it's working is that life's showing up for everybody as it's showing up. And it's our resistance to it that creates suffering. And that includes our resistance to how other people's lives are showing up. So, I'm just going to check my notes. in case there's anything else. No, I don't think so. So, just to sum up, I hope that what I'm trying to point to in this video is that there are lots of mental, emotional things going on in our relationships, such as believing that worry is helpful, believing that we need to fix other people, that is creating a lot of overthinking, increased emotions, a lot of weight, a lot of pressure that simply doesn't need to be there if we can know that our thinking is a perspective about how things should be for that person, how that person should be, what their life should be like. That is a perspective. But if it's not what's happening, can we trust that there is something greater, as in the flow of life energy? It's just that's how it's showing up. And the more that we can not resist that and be with that for ourselves and for those that we love, the more freedom and ease and time, mental time, we can have in our lives. So I hope this has been helpful. If you've got any comments or questions, or you want anything clarifying, please contact me in the comments below. And if you've enjoyed this video, please do give it a like, share it with someone, and please consider subscribing to my channel, because it really helps me to be found on YouTube. Okay, thank you so much for watching. Bye.